What's going on, Arizona? Oh, it's so nice to be here after that win. What do you think? Are you guys sick of winning yet? Are we ever going to get sick of winning? And guys, I love you too, sir. It's usually better if it's a woman, but you know, whatever. It's 2024. It's fine. It's fine. Well, guys, I want to thank Steve, I guess, for that pre-endorsement for 2028. Kidding. I'm kidding. But guys, I want to thank all of you, most importantly, for all of the incredible work that we did this last election. It's because of you that we are here. Because not only in the last few months did you all become the media, when we got actual free speech back with the help of Elon and X and Truth Social, when we actually had a chance to level the playing field, we took away the advantage that they'd been playing on us for so long. I love watching it right now. You're watching the leftist meltdown because for the first time in arguably generations, they actually have to compete on a level playing field. Their ideas have to actually make sense. And I know that's implausible. I know they're not used to it, but they're actually revolting and quitting the game because it's not just being handed to them anymore. We're actually fighting it back, and that's because of you guys. If you watch what's happened in the last few weeks, we've taken that narrative away from the media. You look at what's happening in the confirmation process when you have an awesome, great patriot like Pete Hegseth, and the swamp and the media, they want to take him out. And guess what? They were doing it until we took control of the narrative, until we made the representatives that are there to represent us actually do that. And they were cheering it. They were going to take this guy out with anonymous sources. It didn't matter that the actual people that were in the room that were willing to put their name behind it were saying, this is nonsense. They were going to do it. And then all of you got involved. And you held the swamp accountable. So not only in the last few weeks did you all become the media, but you also became the government because you're able to finally hold your representatives accountable. They can't get away with it anymore, folks. You saw that in the last 48 hours when they tried jamming a 1,500-page CR down your throats with more pork than a pig farm. And in a few minutes, almost everyone knew what was in it. Far more than Congress. You're able to pick out the parts were disastrous. You're able to pick out the fraud, the bribes, the bullshit, and you were able to talk about it. And it died like that. We need to keep that up. For far too long, people have been made to be afraid of their media, of their governments, of their representatives. That time is over. This election was a mandate against that insanity. We won resoundingly because Americans want common sense back. And it has not been common at all for far too long. And what I love about it is it's happening at the perfect time. The fact that we went through hell, they tried putting my father through hell. I think I'm the most subpoenaed man in the history of America. The last 4 years, the lies about the insurrection. I mean, the first unarmed insurrection in the history of the world. I mean, honestly, if you were going to lead an insurrection in like the most heavily armed country in America, maybe show up with guns, unless, of course, it wasn't an insurrection, which of course it wasn't. But they lied about it. They weaponized it against the people. There are still people in prison who haven't had due process, who were marching through velvet robes, taking selfies. They had no idea. It didn't matter. That ends now. Now, we all know my father won 3 elections because he actually won in 2020, right? No one's pretending. Do me a favor, raise your hand if you're still pretending that Joe Biden actually won in 2020. Nothing, right? Yeah, okay. We all know that, and we saw that even the Democrats the day after the election. Well, it is a little bit odd that there's this massive spike. You know, it's like 74 million votes, 75 million, 73 million, 74 million, 73, 82 million. Like, yeah, where are they? Where'd they go? I mean, if Trump is truly the greatest threat to democracy ever, you'd think maybe they'd show up. It's almost like that was a lie, too. But while my father went through hell, and they tried taking away his business, and they tried bankrupting him, and they tried doing the same to myself and my brother, and when that didn't work, they tried jailing him. 750 years. Seems like a long time. My father is a young and vibrant 78, but I feel like 750 years and possibly the death penalty may be excessive. But I guess that's what they needed to do. And it's all collapsing because it was all built on a foundation of lies and garbage. And everyone now knows it. They weaponized every aspect of government, every position that they could possibly do. And they still failed. But what's good about the fact that while we may have won in 2020, we didn't assume office? We get to start with a clean slate, with the knowledge of who's real, with the knowledge of who's loyal, with the knowledge of who can actually fight and deliver. Had we just rolled over the 2016 to 2020 crowd, honestly, I don't know that it would have been a great presidency. I'd love to believe that we do some things. I think we did a great job with 16 to 20, given what we were up against, given that you had the most hostile media ever, given that you had the most hostile Democrat Party ever, given that half the Republicans weren't even on your side. He still did pretty amazing. But those same can kickers, those people who thought that they knew better than the duly elected president of the United States and felt obligated to not follow his orders or the will of the people, but to create their own mandates, they're all gone. And they ain't coming back, folks. I know that because I've been in the room. I don't want to choose, and I didn't want to choose a single person in the cabinet, any of the undersecretaries, any of that. I wanted to make sure the bad guys didn't get in, and we did that. And that, to the swamp, to DC, is the scariest thing ever. We have a chance to transform our government once and for all, to function as it was intended, to be of the people, for the people, and by the people. But the only way we do that is if all of you stay involved. You stay in the game. You fight, fight, fight. If you guys show the same resolve that my father showed on July 13th when he took a bullet to the face but came back defiant, that American spirit, that resolve, that guts, that leadership, that willingness to stay in the game, to fight, to preserve our country, our freedoms for that next generation, if we all have that spirit, it's never going back, because when you look at the people we have in there now, we can create change. You look at what's going on. You look at the way we're able to now expose to the American people. You almost don't have to do anything. You just have to actually show the American people what they're getting for their money. What Elon Musk will be able to do with Doge. When Americans see that they've spent trillions of dollars for nothing on waste, so that a couple rich bureaucrats in D.C. and their buddies on the board of Raytheon can get rich. Once they see that, the Ponzi scheme is over, folks. It's gone. And you see that now, right? You see exactly, like it started like 2 or 3 days ago, right? You know exactly what they're doing because their playbook is so old. They have nothing. The media has lost all their power because no one's watching anymore. They've been lying to us for so long. They've taken such ridiculous positions that everyone knows exactly what's happening. So now they're trying to do, well, it's really the Elon Musk presidency. They're trying, like, they're arguing like kindergartners. Like they're trying, like, it's like a childish fight. Like my toddlers, when they were toddlers, used to do that to try to create a rift. And that's not going to happen, folks. Because my father's assembled a team that gets it. They know how to make it happen. Elon and Vivek with Doge, Bobby Kennedy at HHS. We got to fight hard for Tulsi at DNI because we need people that will handle and take on the intelligence communities. And we have to make sure that the weak, deep state puppet Republicans who still seemingly work for the CIA, despite what the CIA has been trying to do to conservatives for the last 2 decades, hold them accountable. The same way we went after weak Republicans in the Senate who weren't going to confirm Pete Hegseth, like a guy that's won 2 Bronze Stars, a guy that's actually fought in wars, not like the Millies of the world. You know, they have medals. They have medals. It looks like, you know, the lineup of the North Korean dictators and the, you know, everyone, it's just like medals, the entire suit. I'm like, you haven't won a war. You haven't won a war. I mean, I know you want to understand what, you know, white rage is all about. And you want to do your videos about prosthetic penile implants for trans soldiers at the VA. You know, I understand where your priorities are, but that's not where the priorities of the American people are. They have medals like this. Eisenhower, who won World War II, has like 2 little things. How about we let the war fighters be back in charge? Seems pretty logical. Seems pretty logical, but I know it also works. Because when my father let the war fighters be in charge the last time, he let the guys on the ground, the door kickers, take on ISIS. And what happened? They were able to kill them. It's sort of nice. I got in trouble it was a couple years ago because I was talking about it. It may have been at Turning Point like a couple of years ago. And I was getting calls from buddies of mine that were in the SEAL teams that were like, hey dude, we're spending more time doing like DEI training than we are like shooting. And I'm like, seems like a bad thing to do. Like I want my like operators to be able to like operate. Let them kill bad guys. That's what, but no, we have to learn the 4,376 pronouns. We have to see how that applies in war and in combat. And people literally went nuts. Like the media was like, that didn't happen, it's not happening. And like 12 buddies that were SEALs like literally came out. We're like, no, it actually is happening and it's a problem. We know this works because of course it works. It's the most plausible answer to everything. So we're going to do that, and we're going to fix it. Then we're going to hold them accountable on the budget side so that we're not mortgaging all of you young guys in this room and all of you young ladies in this room. Your future isn't going to go down the tubes so that a couple of guys in D.C. can get rich. I've used the example before. Steve talked it about a little bit. We talked about Ukraine for the last 3 years. And to this day, Mitch McConnell will still tell you that Ukraine is the #1 priority for Republicans across the country. And I can assure you it is not. Because just being in this room alone tonight, I have spoken to more real Republicans than Mitch McConnell has in his 772-year tenure in the United States Senate. But it's not just in this room. For the last 3 years, since the war started, I have spoken in front of over 150,000 people. Not a huge room like this. Sometimes it's 300 people here, 700 people there, 5,000 people there. I have asked the question, is it a top 3 or top 10 issue in every one of those speeches I've given to every person in that room. And out of 150,000 people over 2.5, 3 years, exactly 4 people raised their hands that it was a top 10, possibly top 10 issue for them. No one was top 3. First gentleman, sir, it's top 10 issue what? Well, I am from the Kiev, Ukraine. I was like, okay, fine, I'm gonna give you a pass. Next guy misunderstood the question. He thought it was a double negative, so he was actually on our side. Next guy worked at Raytheon, so I was like, okay, well, that's job security, of course. And the other guy was like, well, I worked there for like 15 years, so I'm like a 10.5. So basically zero Americans actually thought that it was a top 10 issue, and yet Senate Republicans were still trying to jam that down our throats to the tune of $250 billion. And by the way, that doesn't include the other $260 billion that the Pentagon lost. Just lost it. The same people, the same government that will audit you for a $601 Venmo account transfer can magically lose $250 billion. It's like, no problem, right? The Pentagon will fail 7 audits, doesn't matter. That ends now. But again, while it's easy to sit back and celebrate some of these wins, we can never stop. Don't get lax. Don't let these little wins think that it's over. It's never over. They're not going away. We just have to overwhelm them. We have to keep on the pressure. We have to make sure, again, in D.C., it's not just the Democrats that are our foes. It's a vast majority of the Republicans, and we saw that even today. When we take a resolution, a CR, from 1,500 pages to 150 pages, we get it down, and like 30 House Republicans vote it down because, they didn't get one little thing that they needed, or they needed more pork, or they're trying to comply with the Democrats or give them what they want, or, as we've always seen in D.C., it's just an easy existence to be a weakling Republican. What we're going to do is we're going to give Chuck Schumer all of that power if we don't get these things passed right now. So we need everyone to do what we did over the last few weeks. Call them out. Call their offices. Put on that pressure. Make them feel the pain. I call it, I think Joni Ernst learned this a little bit the hard way. ETP, education through pain. It's a very simple concept. Very simple concept. Like, you touch a hot pot on a stove, it hurts. You don't do it again. Children learn this, right? We need our politicians to understand that too. They've gotten away with it for far too long. And again, we have a mandate from the people. It's been so clear. It's there. People are sick of it. And we can do something about it. We just have to hold them accountable. Right? Just because they have the R next to their name doesn't mean anything anymore. Because honestly, guys, the Republican Party of a few years ago is gone. This is now the America First Party. Donald Trump is in charge. And now, for the first time in a long time, we actually have a bench of people that can carry that torch for years. It's why I fought so hard for J.D. Vance. How awesome has he been? For me, it's not about just having Trump and you get 4 years and you go back to the old ways. It's about having people who have the resolve, the stamina, the balls to keep fighting and to never give up. And now we actually have that bench. Now we have an America First party that can go decades. We have to keep that going. And what's great, the best part of all of it, guys, is the Democrats don't get why they lost yet. They don't understand. It's amazing. I'm looking at the polls. Kamala Harris is leading in 2028. Please, God, make this happen. Remember when I said, I think I said it last year, all I want to see is the J.D. Vance, Kamala Harris, debate. We could maybe have it happen. It was just going to be for VP and VP. But after the coup, she took over. Shockingly, she wasn't the greatest candidate ever, despite what the media tried to say about her in a couple weeks. But the Democrats are literally out there on TV celebrating. Who cares if you can't afford your groceries? 3-year-old children need to be getting gender-affirming care without parental consent. They don't get it. Their disdain for you, for hardworking Americans, is so palpable. The things they have said, the things they have done, the things that had you done, they'd be trying to throw you in the gulags for. It's all been exposed, and they still don't know why. Because they cannot get out of their vacuums. They don't understand that the inflation that they caused with the policies that failed for so long aren't great. So I welcome another Kamala Harris run. I welcome the radical policies, the leftist policies that everyone has seen through. I welcome them bringing that to the table again and again. And again, if we stay vigilant, and again, in some places we didn't do as good a job. There's no reason that Trump should do as well right here in Arizona, but we can't get a senator over the line in that same state. Okay? Same thing in Nevada. We need to stop pretending that Democrats are working across the aisle. And just listen to what they've been saying today. That's over. That's clear. We have to make sure we just get every possible seat forever. Okay? I love, because no, it gets harder. Hey, I get it, guys. Without Donald Trump at the top of the ticket, that gets harder. Okay? He's created a movement that hasn't existed in the history, perhaps of politics, certainly in American politics. But we need to keep that going, because if they take over this country, it's over. Now, again, with the team that we have assembled, with what we're going to be able to do, with what we're able to expose, I think we can create a generational shift. We have an opportunity that has never been presented in modern American history to actually fix things, to actually do things that are right and make sense and can win for our people. We have that mandate, but we cannot squander it with apathy. We cannot stop moving forward each and every day. We cannot take any rest. We cannot sit on our laurels. And most importantly, we cannot just sit back and hope that Republicans in office are going to do what they tell you on a daily basis. We saw that today. They know exactly what went on. Everyone saw what happened on November 5th, and yet it doesn't matter to them. And so for those people who aren't willing to get in line and do their job, which is to serve their constituents, we got to start primarying the hell out of these people. There's so much we can do, guys. We can fix our economy. You see it already happening, right? You see what Canada's willing to do on their border simply because Trump threatens tariffs, and what Mexico was doing as it relates to that. Donald Trump's not even president yet, and countries are already capitulating to his policies that are not yet in place because they know what's coming. Strong leadership, guys. Strong leadership is not just good for America. It's good for the world. It's not rocket science. When America, led by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, did nothing other than exude weakness, our enemies saw it. They capitalized on it. That's the nature of predation. That's a story as old as time. Once Daddy came home, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different attitude. So guys, enjoy it, but stay in the game. We have so much we need to do between now and January 20th. We have to get those cabinet picks in. Okay? You see what they're trying to do. You know the playbook. You see what the media is trying to do to break up the relationship that my father has with Elon. They're trying to cause that schism to prevent these guys from being able to do what they're going to do best. And we can't allow that. So you guys, thank you for everything that you have done. I understand it has been a brutal 4 years. Not just because of those policies, but because of what they've tried to do to all of us, okay? My father isn't just the most resilient man in politics. How many times have they counted him out, right? I mean, when you talk about resilience, in 2015, there's no way he could possibly do anything, and he's going to get 0% in a Republican primary, then he wins. Then he has a 0% chance of getting Hillary Clinton. Then he gets in office, and you impeach him twice, and you put him up against that, and he still wins. And then January 6th happens, and now he's totally out. And then they try to ostracize him to the annals of history, and he comes back. And then XYZ candidate's definitely going to beat Trump in a primary, and he wins that again. He keeps winning because he's willing to fight. He's willing to stay in the game, right? And so many of you guys, because I remember when I first spoke to this crowd, the first equivalent of this for Turning Point, it was like 300 people in a room. And when I look at what's going on right here, it makes me so proud. Because I think Charlie said earlier today that I may be, other than him, maybe I've had the most Turning Point speaking opportunities of anyone around. And it just makes me so proud to see this movement grow, to see the youth vote come out. Because guess what, folks? For all you young people at Turning Point, for that next generation, the fact that you're here right now, it's so critical. It's so important. But we're winning. Think about it. We basically did 50% of the 18 to 29 vote this time around. That could have never been done without Turning Point, without Charlie, and without all of you guys. And when I saw this room 8 years ago, and it was like this section right here, and now I'm looking out, I can't even see the back of the room. It's spectacular. This is what it's all about. And guess what? You guys are that generation. You're the guys going to get stuck with this. I'm basically old as dirt at this point. Like, I can sit back and do nothing. You guys are going to inherit these things. So the fact that you're willing to fight for it is so awesome and so fundamentally critical. That's what America was founded on. That's what it's all about. So I want to thank all of you for getting in the game. I want to thank all of you for being unafraid. I'd say very few people understand the consequences of standing up to the nonsense, standing up to the swamp, standing up to big government, standing up to the mainstream media, standing up to big tech, standing up to the seemingly insurmountable obstacles that they've put up. But you guys did that. So many of you are day one. When I say day one, I don't just mean 2016. I mean also January 7th. The fact that you guys had the guts to stay through all of that is everything to me. And it means that the future of this country is in incredible hands because you are willing to fight like that. So guys, I want to thank all of you for everything that you do. God bless you. God bless Turning Point. God bless the United States of America. And don't ever, ever, ever give up. Fight, 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 fight. Love you guys.